All right, so yesterday's calves video, that was not just the lift of the day was calves. Whenever I have a rest day, because, yeah, holy crap. So arm day was actually supposed to be yesterday, but I got back from school pretty late, and honestly, I just felt sick. So had to make an objective and what I what I think to be the correct decision, and say, you know what, I better just get some sleep. And sleep I did. Oh my god. I went to bed at about midnight and I didn't wake up until 2. And I woke up thirsty and hungry, which that is a good sign because my appetite has kind of been wrecked the past couple days just from some kind of not like legit sickness, like not hospital level of course, but just kind of some kind of something messing with me. And whenever that happens, usually like my energy to train doesn't crash too much, but my appetite will kind of just sink to nothing. And then it gets hard for me to get my food down. So, main idea, sickness is not conducive with gains. Not even a freaking little bit. But feel good now. And oh yeah, so what I was trying to say was, so anytime that there's a rest day, right? The day following, since there's no lift, I'll just record the cardio. And now I'm going to start doing my calves after cardio, if that makes sense. But that was earlier today, so it's now 6:55. The gym closes at 8, and that is pretty much just about as much time as I need for arms, tries and buys. So I I'm a little bit conflicted in a way because I like doing triceps supersetted with buys, like a set of push downs, and then jump straight into a set of curls and then rest. A set of machine dips and then a set of preacher curls and then rest. That sort of style. Like, I do like it, but I don't know. I think it's just a little bit. I almost want to say it's too much. It's like, to an extent, I almost feel like I'm getting too pumped. Like, because at the end of the lift, obviously my tries and my buys are both as pumped as they're going to get. But I don't know. I think it's not a good distribution of attention, you know? Like, I almost feel like when I do a supersetted lift like that, now I used to do them all the time. I used to do a set of leg extensions straight into a set of hamstring curls. I used to do a set of pull downs straight into a set of chest. Like for a while I was doing that style of, superset. But I think it's like trying to multitask. So rather than do so sure, you can finish two things at once, but I don't really think you're doing either one of them as well as you could if you were to just do one in its completion and then move on to the next one. So, unless I'm really in a rush, in which maybe I'd be a bit more inclined to be like, okay, I got to get these sets done, uh, push down straight into curls, like, because it does have a time saving measure for sure. But, if time is no issue, then I want to finish tries all the way, cook them completely, and then, once they're bleeding on the ground, I can say, all right, who's next? And ideally, my biceps are going to be kind of quivering, like, oh, oh. You get what I'm saying? Because they've seen what's happened to tries, and they're on the chopping block. So that's kind of my stance there. Like, I don't know. Just think about it. Just how do you really think you'll be able to do a set as intensely on curls if you just did a set of really hard pushdowns or really hard machine dips? Obviously you're not working the muscle that you're about to. My biceps don't come into play at all during tricep pushdowns, but still, it's just a personal preference thing. And I say this now, but I also said with just as much confidence back when I did do these sort of superset style workouts that like, oh, it's saving time. I'm more efficient. Take it with a grain of salt. Get in the gym, do your sets, leave with a pump. That's all you got to do. So I'm thinking, what am I thinking? Yeah, I know what I'm thinking. I know exactly what I'm thinking. I'm not going to spoil it for you, so let's just get in there and get started. See what's first up in terms of tricep movements. Now that was nice. That was a good arm day, if I have ever had one. And as you're well aware, I have had many, 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 many. And I will have many more. And a truly endless amount more. But plan now is to go home and eat. I'm not only hungry, I'm also thirsty. I didn't really fill up my jug before I came in today. I was just kind of sipping on the scraps of when I was drinking it earlier for cardio. So I'm gonna get back on that, fill it up with some, oh crap. No, I got a ton. Got a ton of the hostile cluster dextrin mixed berry. Good powdered carb. So, but pretty much just sugar in a bottle in a way, but not actually. That one's kind of like a complex carb, won't really spike your blood sugar as much. Not that I'm not concerned with that kind of stuff. Or, well, whatever. You know what I'm saying. So, gonna go hydrate, rinse off. I'm not a Rican, but you should have the ability to tell if you start to have a little bit of a smell. Yeah, I gotta put some soap on my body, Dr. Squatch style. But fuck, man, that's all I gotta say. Fucking talking about going home and showering and eating my food. Fucking nothing else is going on. But it's, in terms of bulking, that is kind of the life. Really, I just want to go home, put a big bowl of food in front of me, and just kind of watch some kind of show and chill, kind of mindlessly get it all down. Speaking of shows, I need something else to watch. I finished The Sopranos, so fuck, man. Jujutsu Kaisen, they're only doing one episode a week. This last one was pretty cool, and I'm already almost caught up on One Piece, so what else is there? Game of Thrones is out there. I know it's good. I'm not going to start it yet, though. I'll save it for later. But, well, I was about to say that won't affect the pump, but honestly, the media that you watch, I think it kind of can affect the pump in a non-negligible way, right? I've had some pretty hardcore lifts thinking about how, well, not like thinking about it the whole time, but like listening to like an edit of Reiner and Bertolt fucking, betraying Eren and the scouts or, whatever else. I was thinking of this badass quote. Oh, I can't remember what it was like. I can't remember. But, the shit that you watch, I feel like it kind of reflects in your own life. So, if you take a dude and he just watched maybe 2 hours of The Good Doctor and 1 hour of Young Sheldon, I just don't really think that he's going to be that amped up to get a good lift, Whereas if you took somebody who just watched like, maybe 3 or 4 episodes of Baki, and then maybe, an episode of Breaking Bad or some cool shit, I think he's more likely to go hard, right? So that's whether or not that's actually true, that's just kind of my mentality with it. So yeah, what else is there to discuss, man? Nothing. Home, food, sleep, cardio in the morning, and then legs tomorrow. I need to get in the habit of lifting earlier because my sleep schedule has been known to fluctuate very strongly. No. I need to wake up at, here's my plan for the next while, and actually probably in continuation once school starts up again, just because I do have 8:30 classes next semester. I gotta be waking up at 7 just on the dot, no alarm, and going to bed at no later than 11. That is the way to do it. That is the way to do it. It's just nicer, you kind of, you kind of get a little bit more control over your day if you have a solid sleep schedule. It's no fun if you just kind of it's no fun to have to wake up after like 5 hours of sleep and be like, oh, all right, I gotta go do blank. Is it worth it? Is that 3 hours of extra time on your phone worth the, kind of shittiness of the next day of not getting enough sleep? Depending on how dopamine dependent you are, the answer to that is not actually that obvious. I've got a hard time putting my phone down, but I kind of need to reiterate to myself that in a bulking context, in a muscle growth context, even just a life context, you need your 8 hours. You need your freaking 8 hours, and that is for sure. So, in fact, I got no insight to say. I got no insightful tips and motivation apart from the fact that I hope you're hitting your cardio on the daily, hitting your lifts on the daily, eating a good amount of food, fats, carbs, proteins, making sure you drink enough electrolytes. And then when you do go into lift, make sure you're amped up. Whether you listen to music or not, before each set, take a couple of breaths, little huffs and puffs. Jump onto it, throw that shit around, take a few minutes, and oh, goodness. Felt like I was going straight and running the red light. No, you know what I'm saying, man. Go hard. The only thing that you have to gain... No, wait. Let me rephrase that. The only... Oh, yeah. You have nothing to lose by going hard. You only have everything to gain. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, there we go. Right? I mean, you could go into the gym, and honestly, you could do the exact same thing as the guy next to you, right? But if you don't really push it, you're just not going to have the same results. And that'll kind of be, like, really pushing it, it's kind of a twofold process. Because for one thing, when you're actually in the gym, you're going to have a better workout. You're going to stimulate your muscles more intensely, right? What part of that sounds bad? None of it. But also, kind of the more serious you can take this kind of shit, it'll just make it easier for you to go harder progressively over time. You kind of, there's sort of a bar that you can maybe not measure, but like quote unquote hypothetically quantify, and that's your basic proficiency in a skill, your comfortability in a situation, etc. So as a beginner, your skill level, the amount of effort that you can put into your sets, how hard you can really go, how disciplined you are, it's pretty low. And it's not for a lack of trying, it's purely due to a lack of experience. You just started this shit. So for you to even start doing it, right, you're raising the bar. You're pushing past what you're used to. And after you've done that for about a month as a beginner, that new bar of you going in every day, doing your lifts, maybe even tracking your protein, getting some protein shakes in, or having your mom cook up some ground beef every so often, that's your new bar. That's the new normal. So if you want to make changes, you got to constantly push that new normal higher and higher and higher over time. As you get more experienced, right? Don't be taking rest days if you don't need them. And really, you got to make sure you're pushing it on a constant basis. Good sets all the time. Ideally, you'll kind of just get to a point where even the idea of doing a scrappy set, like, oh man. I mean, you see it all the time. Obviously not everybody. Of course, I see people at the gym going hard, really actually pushing themselves to, I don't want to say close to, well, yeah, maybe not failure per se, because a lot of movements in the gym, you can do some partials, so failure gets a little bit ambiguous. But they're doing sets that reach a zone of intensity where it's like, that's a good set. That guy's going hard for real. I got to do it like that. I do see that, but that's not the majority. A lot of people just kind of go in and they do a couple reps, it starts to feel hard, and re-rack it. That's the end of it, So that's kind of a situation where I feel like that's their bar, that's their bar of normal. And since they don't really push above it, then, they're not really going to make any legit progress. So that's kind of a situation where you have to actually, look at your own habits, look at your own, you know, history, or your own shit. What's the word I'm trying to think of? Look at your lifts historically over the past few weeks or even few months. Hopefully not a few years. And if they're all the same over that long of a period, then you got to change something up, you know. And I don't think the answer is always in, oh, I need to do a new split. Okay, I need to really fundamentally switch my training program up completely. It's the program that's wrong. It's not me. That's, it's just look around. Dudes get huge, or not even huge, but people make progress doing a lot of different things. Because the human body is very versatile. It can react and be stimulated in a very large number of ways. But kind of a common denominator across any style of training, which I feel like is the main determinant of whether or not you're actually going to make gains or not, is your intensity. I could go in and for the next fucking 6 months only do really light sets like I did today. Like light squeezing, really be in total control of the weight. And as long as I went hard on all of them, I think I'd make progress. Or I could go in and for the next 6 months only really try to push the weight as much as I can on every set. Maybe not focus so much on the squeezing aspect, but I just have a lot of tension on them. And I'd probably still make progress, Now, I'm not saying either one of those is the best situation. Really, what I do say is a combination of the two is going to be good for you. But you kind of get what I'm saying, I mean, if CrossFitters can look like freaks, Olympic lifters can look like freaks, right? Do you think the answer is in their training style? Or do you think it's in their training intensity and the amount of, energy and just the amount that they can bring in every day is what's going to determine, what separates them from the crowd? I think that should be a little bit of a call to action to maybe not put so much emphasis on trying to optimize the perfect routine, but rather just make sure that whatever you're doing, which hopefully you do you need to do a routine that you're comfortable with and relatively enjoy if you want to do it on a consistent basis. But assuming that's already in place, just make sure you go fucking hard, man. Right? And if you kind of have if that's not super easy for you to do, then maybe ask for some help. Right? If you got some gym bros in there next to you, maybe if you're kind of prone to putting the weight down a little bit early, ask them for a spot. Tell them okay, make sure you help me get 5 reps after failure. Because if maybe I'm not that good at getting a hard set alone, right, ask somebody for help. But ideally, if you know that you're kind of not awesome at pushing it, you should really just try to get better at it. But you get what I'm trying to say. I don't know if I can necessarily relate to that, because I feel like I've always been relatively good at pushing it. But don't worry, man. Not even me, but me too, right? I've got that bar of proficiency, that bar of okay, this is a normal lift for me. It's right here. And every time I go in, I want to exceed that. I want to make sure that that lift is better than any that I've done before. And that doesn't have to be in terms of using a crazy amount of weight, which I've never used, or, hitting a PR, doing, 10 sets instead of 5. It's kind of just the subjective intensity. That's how I kind of grade my lifts. Even if, for whatever reason, I couldn't get a pump. Let's say this arm pump was half as good as it was today, if I still knew, just based on feeling and, my own personal grading scale of my exertion, right? If I knew that I really pushed it on every set, that there's nothing else I could do, I did my shit. Now I got to go home and eat and just do it again. So hopefully you took a little something from that. But whatever. What freaking ever. So home, food, shower, food, sleep. Perfect ender of a good day for a lifter. So I will see you next time.